Good morning, Senator Gatchalian, Mr. Chair. We share the same position, and today we filed manifestation from the Office of the Commissioner, a comment from the Office of the Commissioner. Basically, I understand this might not be the subject of today's hearing because you have categorically stated on that the focus of this hearing will be on the vapor products. But we stated our comments on the lowering of the rate on heated tobacco products or non-parity of rates between heated tobacco products and cigarette products. We wish to maintain that cigarette products and heated tobacco products should be taxed at the same rate, Your Honors. But with regard to the vapor products, we share the same observation of the Department of Finance that it should not be lower than traditional tobacco, but in fact propose that it should be higher because one vapor product is not the same as consumption of one pack of cigarette. One pack of cigarette can be consumed in 300 puffs. The market shows that the lowest number of puffs you can consume one vape product is 600 puffs, as per their representation also in their labeling. So there's a non-parity in the from a revenue perspective. The revenue agency will be or the government will be losing a lot based on the consumption of these products because these products will be consumed at a longer time than one cigarette product, Your Honor.
Thank you. I have some questions related to to BIR and to the other government agencies, but I'll reserve that later on so we can hear the comments.
Yeah, Your Honor, we can also make comments regarding the enforcement later on. More particular, I have seen the recommendations. I suggest that we create a body on the illicit trade task force, which we have started since the term of Commissioner Lumagi. We have started this illicit trade task force as part of his project, but of course we are waiting for it to get support and funding from the agency.
Thank you for that. We'll call on the DTI, who's the regulator of vape products in our country.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. The DTI position is still being finalized, Mr. Chair. However, in general, Mr. Chair, we defer to the wisdom of Congress as well as the expertise of the DOF, the BIR, and the NTRC on the tax rates. But we do support the proposal of a unitary tax rate for salt nic and free-base nicotine, as well as we do also support the proposal to increase the tax rates. However, we're taking a different position as to the parity, Mr. Chair, that we're proposing that the excise tax on vape products should be lower if the purpose is to instill health consciousness to the public. But again, Mr. Chair, we defer to the wisdom of Congress as well as the experts on the tax rates.
Thank you for that manifestation. I'd like to ask the DTI, how many free-base products have registered with the DTI?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Right now we have 14 brands of free-base vape products registered with the DTI. There are ongoing applications for 164 more brands also free-base, Mr. Chair.
How about for nicotine salt?
We have we have not issued any license for nicotine salt, as well as ongoing applications.
So zero license for nicotine salt?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I asked my I asked my staff to go to the market and look for nicotine salt. And here, nicotine salt is available in the market right now. Sinasabi niyo sa amin walang nag-register,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
pero merong available in the market.
Yes, Mr. Chair. With our suspensions last year, we have seen the reduction of illicit vape products from September to February. However, as of late February to date, there's again an uptick on the illicit products in the market. So right now, what we're doing is we're finalizing administrative complaints as well as criminal complaints against the retailers this time, Mr. Chair.
So is this a clear indication that technical smuggling is happening in our country?
I agree, Mr. Chair.
So, dahil mas mura ng 10 times ang freebase.
May I
So
also
people
add-
can just declare this as freebase, pay 10 times lesser, and bring it in. But clearly, ito kakabili lang to. Kailan binili to? Kahapon lang binili to.
May I also add, Mr. Chair, that there are also instances of local production of what you're holding right now, Mr. Chair, is a vape juice. It's the refill for the vape product device or system.
Yeah, whatever it is, this is nicotine salt,
Yes, Mr.
correct? And because none of the vendors registered with DTI, so dapat walang nagbebenta sa merkado
Yes,
ng
Mr. Chair.
nicotine salt. But it's available. This was just bought yesterday.
I agree, Mr. Chair. That's the reason why.
Whether it's smuggled in or it's manufactured here, this should not be the case,
Yes, Mr.
correct?
Chair.
And if it's still manufactured here, they will be paying lesser because they will be declaring as free base.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Well, they're declaring a free base. But after the April 2 hearing, we've coordinated with the local government, ULAP, I believe. So we will be connecting with local health offices so that we can go into private subdivisions where the vape products are manufactured and stored.
Before I continue my si Mr. From the BIR, Mr.
Sabariaga,
Jeffro?
Your Honor.
Yeah, Sabariaga. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, first, this May, the Commissioner launched another nationwide activity because of the intelligence reports that there's an uptick on upswing on activities, particularly on online activities and on vape shops on these illicit products. Not registered with the DTI. These products were not registered with the BIR, no, and no authority to release imported goods, and no calculation of taxes due were made on this product. Therefore, these products are all illicit products and are smuggled through the country. So there's no more variance dun sa ni DTI Representative Marcos Valdez na merong hindi registered pero nagbayad ng tax. Wala nang ganon Mr. Chair, no? Sa pagka hindi registered sa DTI, hindi daman sa BIR yan, presumably hindi din nagbayad sa customs yan. So, yun po yung situation ngayon, Mr. Chair.
So in this particular case, kung ganyan, it's the DTI who should be doing the raids and the enforcement, correct? Because hindi sila nag-register with the DTI. The first step is to register with the DTI, correct?
We take the situation, Mr. Chair, as a one government approach. Even though this responsibility should be shared by DTI, Department of Health as the police power arm of the government in securing the health and safety of our public, the local government units, the PNP. Kaya nga ho yung recommendation namin Yung upcoming recommendation namin is for an intertrade illicit trade task force to this body, the creation of a body that will consolidate the efforts and channel the energy of this country into curbing this illicit trade.
I think the first order of business is to mahuli lahat ng nagbebenta nito and erase this from the market, because this is precisely the products that our adolescents, our youth buys and uses. And the worst part is, ito walang selyo to. So meaning they're not paying taxes. They're not registered with the DTI. They're not paying taxes because there's no seal. And yet they're now filtering to the hands of our adolescents. That is now the problem.
I agree, Mr. Chair. And actually, now that Mr. Marcos Valdez has shared that observation, medyo sobrang crafty na din ng market. Kasi when one of our observations in this nationwide vape activity, nung pagpunta namin sa mga vape shops, ang naka-display doon mga legit products, yung mga may stamp, mga registered products. But when you look at the Facebook pages of these vape shops, and if inquiries are made with the vape shops by people other than enforcement people, madidiscover natin na may ibinebenta sila at may pinagtataguan sila ng mga illicit vape products nila. And usually, tama ho yun, nasa bahayan. Recently, the BIR seized 81,000 illicit vape products, unregistered, unpaid on taxes, in a night raid sa isang bahay being used as a warehouse. So ganun na ho kalala at ganun na ka-pervasive itong activity na ito. Kaya ho, hirap na hirap din ho ang government agency, lalo na ho yung BIR na hindi naman traditionally nag-i-enforce ng, by not traditionally, walang structure, walang system, walang training, walang tools, walang equipment na para mag-enforce. Walang mga baril, walang mga enforcement training yung mga tao para ho mag-enforce nitong against illicit trade. That's why we are proposing a one government approach, including DTI, DOH, no? And our local government units dito sa undertaking na ito. Short of the creation of an agency or an office that will have a budget, will have a funding on an illicit trade task force.
We want action. We want action already from the DTI and from the BIR, and most importantly the DTI, because the law assigned the DTI as the lead agency to regulate vaping products. And if this is not registered, wala rin tong sa DTI, they have to submit the chemical content, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So hindi natin alam kung anong chemical content nito. Tama?
Yes, Mr.
Ito
Chair.
yung papatay sa mga bata eh.
If
Kasi
I
hindi
may...
natin alam kung anong chemical content nito. They're not registered. We don't know the chemical content. Then hindi pa nagbabayad ng buwis.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I agree. If I may add, Mr.
Go ahead,
Chair,
go ahead.
one of yung roadblocks of our enforcement is that when we go to an area, yung pong mga vape retailers, meron po silang mga chat group. So, pagpasok po namin sa isang store and we go to the other store, sarado na po yung mga store. So, we have coordination with the PNP as well as the NBI for to assist us for the numbers para mas marami po kami pagpunta namin sa area. Sabay-sabay po yung mga stores. Recently, meron naman po kaming success on this na sabay-sabay ho namin na nahuhuli. But marami po talaga sila, and we're doing what we can, Mr. Chair.
But we demand more aggressive enforcement because the numbers are saying, I'll show it later on, that the uptick of vaping use among the young is already entering a very dangerous stage. And the more, if these are not registered, mas dangerous yun dahil hindi natin alam kung ano yung ginagamit nila. Because I know that in the law, part of the submission to the DTI is the chemical content.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
What do you call that certificate?
The TRA, Mr. Chair, the toxicological risk assessment.
Correct. But ito, walang selyo, walang registration.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So wala rin siyang chemical content report. So this is now a dangerous stage in our country wherein our young is smoking chemicals that we don't even know.
Mr. Chair, if our initial enforcement action on this is with regard, well, affected manufacturers and importers, but I think now is not this, it's a good venue for the retailers to hear that pati po sila pwede pong makasuhan not only administrative charges but also criminal complaints. And ang penalty po nito if they are selling without any license is 2 million pesos as well as 2 years imprisonment, Mr. Chair.
Itong last 6 months, how many retailers ang nakasuhan na?
I'll get the numbers for you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, get it and give it to me before the end of this hearing.
Yes, Mr.
But
Chair.
ang importante, action eh. Importante, ma-read itong mga retailers kasi hindi na maganda yung ginagawa nila na nagbebenta sila ng mga ganitong products na hindi rehistrado. So we want, again, we urge the Department of Trade and Industry to move faster and be more aggressive. And like what the BR is saying, that we are seeing an uptick of this illegal products disguised as nicotine salt being peddled among our children, among the young.
We will comply, Mr. Chair.
We need fast action from the DTI, and please submit to the committee a timetable on how to arrest the distribution of these illegal products. Kailangan ko makita yung timetable, action, and the targets.
We will comply, Mr. Chair.
There's also another issue that came to our table, and this is in regards to the flavors. And we have read in the DOJ opinion, DOJ opinion 08 dated April 8 to 2025, which clarified that the flavor ban under RA 11467 remains in effect despite the passage of the vape law, because the advertisement of vapor products under the vape law complements the prohibition under RA 11467 on the manufacturer. And we all know na available yung mga flavors. Ito, iba-ibang flavors ang lumalabas eh. So, in other words, we should already follow the DOJ opinion na dalawang flavors lang ang pwede. Which is, what are those flavors, Asek?
Menthol, Mr. Chair, and the tobacco. Original tobacco, Mr.
So wala ng orange, wala ng strawberry, wala ng bubble gum, wala ng... pero makikita natin, meron pa ngayon, no?
Yes,
Ice
Mr.
formula.
Chair. Well, we looked into the deliberations of the bicameral committee on this, and it's contrary to the DOJ opinion. Also, there's a Supreme Court decision stating that DOJ opinion is still an opinion and not controlling, Mr. Chair.
You're part of government, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You're part of the one government approach, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So the one government approach here is always errs on the side of caution, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
The side of caution is to have a healthy population, correct?
That I agree, Mr. Chair.
And then bakit tayo i-enforce to ng DTI?
That's the reason, Mr. Chair, that when we looked at the bicameral committee, we'll highlight it, Mr. Chair, and submit to the committee secretary.
Well, in my opinion, and I support the DOJ opinion. No? In fact, the two flavor category is in the National Internal Revenue Code, which we are actually amending right now. No? And ang goal kasi natin is to arrest the increase of vape use among the young. And one of the causes of that increase in vape use is the attractiveness of the flavor. So, binebenta nga nila illegal na, iba-ibang flavor pa, talagang tataas yung paggamit ng mga bata. So, I urge the DTI is to comply with the DOJ opinion, because what we are trying to address right now, or what we are trying to arrest right now, is the increase of use of vape products among the young. Yun ang ayaw nating mangyari at mangyayari.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll take note of the position of the committee as well as the chair, and we'll revert on the
Because
matter,
the
Mr.
goal
Chair.
right now, the goal of the committee is to have a unitary tax system between freebase and nicotine salt. And the reason for that is to arrest smuggling, because smuggling is filtering to our youth. And because the goal of the committee is to arrest that increase of use in our youth. And one of the reasons that we saw also is that flavoring of vape products. And that's why I support this DOJ opinion number 8, dated April 8, 2025, because it clearly states here that there should only be 2 flavors, menthol and tobacco, so that the youth will not be enticed with bubble gum, with strawberry, with green apple, watermelon. So we urge the DTI to comply with this DOJ opinion, because sabi nga kanina ni Mr. Jetro, one government approach tayo eh. And we should always err on the side of caution and to make sure that we have a healthy populace.
Yes, Mr. Chair. While we do support the proposal for a unitary tax rate as well as the increasing the tax rates, we will revert, Mr. Chair, to the committee on the DTI position on the DOJ opinion.
Dapat wala nang report, dapat comply na. DOJ is here. Let me, yes, two comments we want to hear. Number 1 is on that vape products, and number 2 on that opinion that you have issued.
Yes, Mr. Chair, good morning. On the particular House bill proposed, Mr. Chair, we defer to the appropriate agencies and the wisdom of Congress as this pertains to the imposition of taxes. On the particular opinion mentioned, Mr. Chair, this was issued particularly on the request of from the Secretary of Health, requesting for clarification on whether or not the prohibition of flavor descriptors under RA 11900 is inconsistent with the flavor ban in 11467. And as mentioned by the good chair, the DOJ opined that there is no inconsistencies between the two laws, and in fact the later law, which is RA 11900, pertains to the advertisement of the vaporized nicotine and non-nicotine products. So and the other one, the earlier law is 11467, states that there shall no the manufacture, importation, and sale of vapor products with flavoring other than plain tobacco or plain menthol shall be prohibited. And the guidelines for this are RA 11900 provides the guidelines. It is the DOJ opinion that this later law provides for the guidelines on which the vaporized products can be advertised, Mr. Chair.
But to put it simply, Attorney Nitura Kalugay, to put it simply, what should be allowed is only the sale of 2 flavors. Tama?
if we are to harmonize the two laws, Mr. Chair, then yes, it is our opinion that there shall only be two flavors because the flavor descriptors are not part of this tobacco or plain menthol.
So, in other words, what the DOJ is saying, that we should not see all those other flavors being sold in the different shops. Only two flavors should be sold in those shops. Tama?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
But Mr. Chair, we also recognize the opinion of the DTI that the DOJ opinion is merely advisory. So,
Yeah, I know that. It's an opinion. But then again, if we want to move as one government, then we should use the more conservative approach, correct? Because we're addressing here public health of our children, of adolescents.
yes, Mr. Chair, we agree.
Diba? So that's why we have to err on the side of caution. If someone doesn't agree, then let them take it to the courts.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we agree.
All right. We'll call on the DOH.
Good morning, everyone. Okay. Well, for the Department of Health, we'd like to express our appreciation to the statement of our chair that reducing taxation on tobacco and vapor products is not the solution, and to reduce illicit trade on cigarette and vape products. Thank you for that, sir. And I would like to read our official position paper of the Department of Health regarding House Bill number 11360. The Department of Health firmly opposes any and all measures that seek to disturb the existing tobacco excise tax indexation, and strongly supports the strengthening and implementation of a unified excise tax measure for vapor products. According to the 2023 FNRI survey, adult vaping rose from 1.4% to 9.9%, while adolescent use surged from 7.5% to 39.9% from 2019 to 2023. This shift highlights the urgent need to regulate vapes with the same rigor as tobacco products, including through taxation, to prevent a new wave of nicotine addiction. Currently, there is an evident imbalance in taxation between tobacco and electronic nicotine delivery systems, with vapes taxed for a lower rate despite rising use. The government is losing on all fronts, both in terms of public health and revenue, because vapes are being taxed cheaper than tobacco. Given its mandate to safeguard public health, the DOH expresses support to any measure that underscore the national health goals and offers the following recommendations for any other legislative measures. Number one, to continue with and strengthen the implementation of excise tax measures for tobacco and vapor products. Number two, to include violations of Republic Act number 10643 or the Graphic Health Warnings Law in the definition of illicit trade and its covered products. The number three, to include provision on citizen participation as a key strategy, including the provision for citizen suit. Any person may file a complaint and or report violations to any member agency of the Anti-Illicit Trade Council, provided there is evidentiary support. Then, to ensure monitoring of earmarked tax collections to Virginia tribe and Burley and native tobacco producing local government units, with 15% but not exceeding 17 million pesos and 5% but not exceeding 4 billion pesos respectively, to be allocated for the exclusive benefit of the farmers. And then finally, to strictly enforce the prohibition on vapor product flavors other than plain tobacco and plain menthol, and the marketing of these products pursuant to the provisions of RA 11467 and RA 11900. The DOH shall continue to advocate for the health and economic benefits of higher tobacco and vapor products taxation, emphasizing its role in funding the implementation of the Universal Health Care Act, reducing the national disease burden, and optimizing the use of funds from sin tax collections to achieve the goals of Republic Act 11467. These measures are critical for reducing consumption, safeguarding revenues for health programs, and addressing the health risks associated with tobacco and vapor products. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you po.
Thank you for
We will
those
submit po, Mr. Chair, our signed position paper po on this matter. Thank you very much.
I'll show a slide on, this is we showed this last time during the hearing, and I will just show it, slide 26. It's here, slide 26. There. Prevalence of vapor product users in percentage form based on current percentage based on current smokers. So if you look at 2023, the smoking, the biggest increase in terms of prevalence in smoking vapor products or vape products came from the adolescents. Almost 40% of the current smokers came from the young population. Siya yung pinakamabilis pag-increase. No? 9% adults, 8% elderly, but 40% of the current smokers right now came from the adolescents. Is this the number that the Department of Health is also seeing? This is based from FNRI.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And can you give us the reason why, the top 3 reasons why we are seeing this phenomena? Kasi laki, from 2021 it's only 7.5%. Now it's reached to 40%. And what am I afraid of is what we discussed earlier. The products being sold in the market is unregulated, unregistered, unregulated. So we don't know what they are smoking. No, it's being marketed here. It's being marketed as nicotine salt, being marketed as freebase, but we don't know what is the contents. No? Hindi natin alam kung anong talagang laman niya. No? So in other words, at 40%, we don't know what they are smoking. No? So can you give us a reason why we are seeing an uptick, a strong uptick of vape product use among the young?
We agree, Mr. Chair, because of the unregulated use of these vape products. And then, of course, with the flavors, the different flavors that are being available in the market, and the very extensive marketing that they're doing. And then, so because of this, we're seeing a shift of the prevalence of smoking, using vapes. Mas tumataas po siya because also of the lower tax given to these vape products. Thank you, Mr.
You said the flavors contribute to the use of vape products?
Yes po, because it entices them to really use this because of masarap eh. Masarap po yung flavor niya. So they would prefer using this than the traditional tobacco, the cigarettes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. To the DOH. We'll call on NTA, National Tobacco Administration. Any comments?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. We were invited here to give our comment on House Bill 11360 pertaining to tobacco, Your Honor. And as stated earlier by the Honorable Chair, we will not be discussing anything about cigarettes.
Do you have any comments on vapes?
None, Your Honor.
All right. We also invited health advocates to this hearing. We'll call on FDA and We'll call on Dr. Limpin of Action on Smoking and Health Philippines.
Your Honor, if you could allow me to give you a presentation, short presentation.
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
I will just give it to the Secretariat, Your Honor.
Okay. While Dr. Limpin is preparing for her presentation, we'll call on Dr. Liachon of the Independent Health Reform, an Independent Health Reform Advocate.
Good morning, Senator. I was prepared for the tobacco tax issue, but I'd like also to more or less comment on the problem related to the vape. I think, Your Honor, the tobacco and vape products are actually intertwined because there are actually toxic and addicting products that actually would actually hurt the Filipinos. And next slide. So therefore, this is actually not related to the H Bill 11360, but I'd like to summarize my recommendation. Since in 2012, we know that the Republic Act 10351 has been effective in terms of reduction of the burden of non-communicable diseases, and of course, tripling the funding for the Department of Health and of course to the PhilHealth. And with this, there has been a downshift towards the addiction, as shown a while ago by Your Honor. There has been a downshift in terms of the addiction to tobacco and then targeting the young ones. So therefore, the win-win solution, pun not intended, Senator Win, the win-win solution here is actually to increase the tax rates both for tobacco and also for vape. Since the target population for the vape will be the younger population, in which their formative years should actually be curbed at this point in time. So therefore, if we start increasing the tax rates at the same level of rigor with the vape, then we actually can prevent the onslaught of non-communicable diseases. And we know for a fact that non-communicable diseases, heart attack, cancer, stroke, COPD, are actually attacking the young and the poor. So by attacking the tobacco and the vapor products with the same impunity and the same rigor and the same tax rate, the same unitary tax as you would propose, with the same penalties and everything, then actually we can resolve the issue. So I don't have a slide for this one because I was informed about the HB 11360, but perhaps in the next presentation I can prepare something and give way to the presentation, of course, of Dr. Maricar Limpin. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Liachon. We'll call on Dr. Limpin. Wala pa. We'll call on, while we're waiting for her presentation, Dr. Mateo of the Philippine College of Physicians.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Dr. Mateo. I'm representing the 14,000 internists of the country, and I came here too for the House bill, but if I may give statements on the use of vape or e-cigarette in the youth especially. So it has increasingly been popular in the Philippines over the past few years, particularly among the youth demographic. And these are the key statistics, some of which you have mentioned. There's already growth in use in the youth, according to the 2021 National Tobacco Control Program. Approximately 20% of the Filipino youth, that's ages 15 to 24, reported using e-cigarette. This is a significant increase from previous years. And the 2020 study conducted by the Tobacco Control Research Group also reported 12.5% of high school students, indicating the rising trends in experimentation with vaping products among adolescents. And you're correct, Your Honor. It's really the strategy of the producers, the manufacturers, to entice the youth because of attractive flavors and appearance. And in the general population, a survey done by the Department of Health in 2021 revealed that around 4.6 million Filipinos were already using electronic cigarette or vapes, which is a rapid increase in users compared to previous years as well. So why do they use vape? This is because of the flavor preference, perceived safety compared to traditional smoking, which we have proven to be false. And marketing tactics were primarily the reason cited for the rising popularity of vaping, particularly among the youth. And compared to traditional smoking, while it has declined, the traditional smoking has declined in the Philippines, vaping has really emerged as a popular alternative. In 2015, it indicated that only 23.8% of adults smoke, revealing a shift in the use or preference of vape over cigarette. So on the health concerns, which is to us, this is mostly a health issue. No? It's more than health, than economics, while on the health side, it will also be reflected on an economic burden to the country. So the rise in vaping use has also coincided with concerns about tobacco-related health issues. DOH has reported rising instances of respiratory illnesses, often linked to vaping. And us in the front line, the healthcare professionals, especially me as a pulmonologist, we have seen a lot of cases of COPD occurring in the younger age group, whilst traditionally, or by science, we have COPD is usually seen in smokers for 50 years and above. Now, we have seen as young as 16 years old, 21 years old. So this is linked, and this should prompt a call for stricter regulation of vape products, and of course, tantamount to saying that the tax imposition on vape products should also be increased. So in response to the growing trend of vaping, the Philippine government implemented Tobacco Regulation Act, but we want to see more teeth on this, especially in imposition of higher taxes. So, of course, eventually, discussions should continue on potential bans and higher taxation to curb use among minors. So, in conclusion, the statistics reflect a concerning trend in vape use, especially the youth in the Philippines. And as vaping becomes more common, it is crucial to continue monitoring the health implications and consider implementing stricter regulations to safeguard public health. Your Honor, I speak on behalf of the 80 health professionals, and I'm sure we have all the same stand on the control and the use of vape and e-cigarette. Salamat po for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mateo. We'll call on Dr. Dance of the Academician of the National Academy of Science and Technology.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po sa lahat ng attend ngayong umaga. Mr. Chair, online po ako with the heads of more than 200,000 healthcare workers who are members of organizations they lead. And sisimulan ko po na sabihin na natutuwa kami na inilabas nyo ang inyong pagtutol sa mga provision ng House Bill 11360 ukol sa pagbaba ng tobacco tax. Naiintindihan po namin na gusto ninyong mag-focus doon sa vape and heated tobacco products. Doon wala po kaming tutol sa mga provision na yon kasi tingin namin talagang dapat itaas. No? Bakit tumataas mainly sa mga kabataan ng vape and heated tobacco products? Successful promotion po yun. Kaya lang po, Mr. Chair, nangangamba ang mga healthcare worker dahil sa tingin namin, sinagasaan kami ng House Bill 11360. Yung mga hearing po ng House Bill, dumating ilang oras na lang bago mag-meeting. Marami kinancel din, ilang oras lang at nandun na kami, biglang canceled, no? Tapos yung final vote ho was made past midnight, ilang tao na lang po ang nandun. So nangangamba po kami na bagamat tutol kayo sa rollback, ito'y pwedeng mangyari during the bicameral committee hearing. Kasi po, opaque na opaque po yung hearing At tingin namin, pagkakataon itong 11,360 at nakatago dyan yung rollback ng tobacco tax. So with your indulgence, Mr. Chair, gusto kong magpakita lang ng 3 slides ukol sa objection ng healthcare worker professional organizations against House Bill 11,360. Sana ibasura na ito kasi nakatago rito ang tangka ng tobacco industry na ibaba ang tobacco tax. Kung okay lang po sa inyo, it's just 3 slides.
Sige po. Go ahead, Dr. Dance.
Bihira po kasi magsama-sama ang healthcare workers. Lagi kaming nag-aaway tungkol sa maraming bagay. Tungkol sa best way to take care of various diseases. Friendly arguments po. Bihira ho yung magkakapit-bisig kami in just 48 hours. Kasi nung nabalitaan po ng heads of healthcare organizations, professional organizations na pag-uusapan ng 11,360, within 24 hours po, 6 na po na ang pumirma na heads. At ngayon po, this morning, 80 na po ang gustong pumirma sa aming petition. So ito po yung first slide lang. Pinapakita pa ang tingnan natin yung current smokers, no? Since the 1980s, nasa 30% po ang ating current smokers, no? Pero nung naipasa po ang sin tax nung 2012, next please. So 2012, tingnan natin kung ano nangyari. Bumaba po, tingnan natin. Next slide. Next slide yan. Bumaba to 25% at nung 2021, 18.5% na lang ang smokers. Pero nung 2018, nung nag-amend po tayo ng tobacco tax, na-predict na po namin na kulang yung yung tax at by 2023 tataas po ang dami ng maninigarilyo. No, ipinaglalaban po namin nung 2018 10% yung yearly indexation, tataas ng 10%. Kung hindi, by 2023 dadami ang smokers. Nasa proceedings po yan ng aming Senate presentations. Kasi hindi nahuhula-hula ang effect ng presyo sa dami ng naninigarilyo. Agham na po yan Kaya na po nating calculate yung market forces na magiging sanhi ng pagdami ng paninigarilyo. So true enough, nung 2023, ito po ang nangyari. Next slide, please. Next, please. Yan, dumami na. Naging 23% ulit ang dami ng naninigarilyo. Next, please. And next, please. Pagbibilangin ho natin, hindi yung porsyento, bilangin natin yung dami ng naninigarilyo. Nandun na naman tayo sa dami ng naninigarilyo noong 2008. No? 17 million Filipino smokers. Next, please. So, para sa amin hong mga, para lang ho ng konti, atras tayo. Para mapaliwanag ko ng isa-isa. Okay. Para ho sa aming mga healthcare workers, itong tobacco tax at saka vape tax, may revenue tayo dyan. Pero para sa amin, ito'y mga bill tungkol sa kalusugan ng Pilipino. No? Pag-uusapan mamaya ng mga kasama namin na pag sinunod yung 11,360, mawawala ang kita up to 17 billion every year para sa gobyerno. 40% po niyan, 6.8 billion, ay dapat para sa PhilHealth, para pag-alaga ng mga may sakit. Pero hindi ho yan ang gusto kong pag-usapan. Pag-usapan natin yung kalusugan. Next. Sa kasalukuyan po, there are 88,000 deaths every year dahil sa tobacco sa Pilipinas. Alam nyo ba kung ilan yan kada araw? 250 deaths. Parang may bumagsak na commercial airline every day. Pag may bumagsak na eroplano, takbuhan tayo ron at lumalabas sa headline. Pero 250 deaths a year from tobacco, walang pumupunan yan kasi statistic yan eh. Nangyayari yan all over the Philippines and every day. Kaya hindi tayo nagugulat. Pero napakarami po niyan. 250 deaths per day. No? Next please. Pag pinasaho ang mga syntax rollback provisions, sabi nila hindi daw yan rollbacks, binababa nila yung indexation, hindi yan rollback. Rollback pa rin yan compared to the status quo. Ang estimate namin, there will be 200,000 new smokers a year. 2 million in the next 10 years. So aakyat yan to 19 million smokers. Kalahati sa kanila, yan ang ikamamatay nila. Kaya nagugulat po kami na meron tayong mga mambabatas na isinasanla ang buhay ng taong bayan para sa kita. No? Hindi man kita ng gobyerno kasi nawawala ng gobyerno. Kita ng tobacco industry. Namamangharin kami na may mga Pilipino sa tobacco industry na walang pake kung dumami ang mga maninigarilyong Pilipino. Next please. Additional deaths doon sa 88,000. Additional 2,000 will die every year because of that rollback. Next please. Indirect cost. Magkano ba ang nawawala sa atin dahil nagkasakit, nawalan ng trabaho, namatay ng hindi pa oras? No? 500 billion a year ang halaga po nun. Yung direct cost sa tansya namin, at pwede ho naming isumite ang mga calculation namin, Mr. Chair. Next please. Ang direct cost sa pag-alaga sa mga nagkasakit, hospitalization, pag-inom ng gamot, 250 billion. So ang nawawala sa taong bayan dahil sa rollback, mga 7 dahil sa tobacco smoking, is about 750 billion pesos a year. Magkano bang kinikita natin? Mga 150 billion a year. Walang paraan na talunin ito ng ating kinikita dahil sa tobacco. Next please. So yan po yung apila namin. Mr. Chair, tuwang-tuwa po kami na sinabi niyong tutol kayo sa rollbacks ng tobacco. Sana maintindihan ito ng mga kasama nating dito sa tobacco industry. Ilan sa mga tobacco companies, sila na nga ang nagsabi na gusto na nilang pababain ang dami ng naninigarilyo. Ngayon, ibababa na naman natin ang buwis sa tobacco at pararamihin na naman natin ang mga naninigarilyo sa Pilipinas. Hindi ba parang tinitinda natin ang buhay ng Pilipino para sa kita ng isa lang na industriya? So, ito pong, next please. Ito po yung mga iba-iba hong mga signature ng iba-iba. No, babasahin po ni Dr. Mateo mamaya yung amin petition. Ang petition po namin, ibasura na yung 11,360 kung di man yung provisions nito tungkol sa tobacco. Nangangamba po kami kasi kayang-kaya i-railroad during the bicameral committee meeting. Magugulat na lang tayo na biglang nandun, despite your objections, isang boto lang din po kayo, hindi ba? Despite your objections, pwedeng maipasa ang rollbacks ng tobacco tax. So, ang hiling po namin, Mr. Chair, sa inyo, dati naman ho kayong naninindigan para sa kalusugan at nagpapasalamat kami sa paninindigan nyo ngayon and in the past. Manindigan ulit na ibasura ng tobacco tax na ito dahil nandyan nakatago ang mga provision para ibenta ang kalusugan ng mga Pilipino para sa income ng isang industriya sa ating bayan. Babasahin po ni Dr. Mateo yung sulat with your
With your indulgence,
Mr.
Your
Chair.
Honor.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is the statement from the leaders of healthcare professional organizations. Yeah, we urgently call our Senate Ways and Means Committee Chair, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, to filmly reject House Bill 11360, the bill that lowers current excise taxes on tobacco products. House Bill 11360 lowers the annual increase of tobacco excise tax rates from 5% every year to an average of 3% every year. It makes cigarette cheaper and more accessible, especially to the vulnerable youth and the poor. As providers of care who see the burden borne by tobacco and vape-related diseases on our patients every single day, we find it reprehensible that our government is fast-tracking a bill which will lead to almost 2 million new smokers from 2025 to 2035. Many of these smokers come from the youth, and half of them will die from tobacco-related diseases in the future. The lives of our patients and our children will be sacrificed for the interest of the tobacco industry. House Bill 11360 will deliver a devastating blow not only to health, but also to revenue. It will lead to at least 167 billion pesos in foregone tobacco tax revenues from 2025 to 2035. 40% of those revenues are allocated towards implementing universal health care. Lowering tobacco taxes will not solve the problem of illicit tobacco trade. Global literature shows that illicit tobacco trade is combated effectively through enforcement and not through lowering of tax rates. In the end, the beneficiary of this rollback is neither the government nor the people. The only beneficiary will be the tobacco industry. Senator Gatchalian, Your Honor, the lives of millions are at stake. We seek your support to reject House Bill 11360, to live up to your reputation as champion of health and of the youth. This will be a true act of heroism that the Filipino people and the healthcare workers will never forget. Signed by the organization that were flashed on screen. Thank you po.
Thank you, Dr. Mateo. Well, this is the Committee on Ways and Means, no? And our job is to make sure that the revenue of government constantly increases and as much as possible, and look for new sources of revenue. Excise tax on tobacco is one. No? And what we are after in the committee is to combat and eliminate illicit trade. Illicit trade is the one creating a lot of problems for our country in terms of revenue collection and in terms of health outcomes. Illicit trade is the devil in our country. Now, that's why I flashed on the screen earlier recommendations that we found out through the 3 hearings that we conducted, and to include prosecution, the legal aspect. Meron tayong enforcement aspect, may legal aspect, so that we will have an effective mechanism to combat illicit trade. And in those hearings, we did not see that lowering down taxes can combat illicit trade effectively. What we should right now enforce and fund is the enforcement side of illicit trade. That's why we are even open to funding the different enforcement agencies such as DTI, BIR, and the Task Force on Illicit Trade from the BIR. Is a good suggestion that we might, during the budget deliberation, we might put together and fund it so that we will have a full-time composite team to combat illicit trade. Yan talaga ang objective natin. Now, having said that, during the hearing, I mentioned earlier that we found that the arbitrage or the difference between freebase and nicotine is creating creating problems and also incentivizing technical smuggling in our country. And that's what we want to stop. That's why, if there, to address Dr. Dan's comment earlier, habang ako po ang chairman ng Committee on Ways and Means, hindi ko papayagan na maipasok yung cigarette component in the bicameral conference committee. If, with all due respect to our counterparts, and let me put this on record to our House counterparts, kung yan ang i-insist nila, mag-usap na lang tayo sa 20th Congress. Because we will not allow that. What we are after right now is to increase or make or come up with a unitary tax system for vape products. Kasi yun yung talagang obvious na lumabas sa aming mga hearings. So, yun nga, nasabi ko nga, no, I checked with the committee secretary, wala kasing nag-file ng vape, unitary tax system of vape products here in the Senate and also in the House. No? And we cannot move without any legislation or any bill transferred or transmitted from the House to the Senate. No? For the Ways and Means, we have to always wait for the House counterpart. No? Pero pagdating dito, pwede naming i-tweak or i-amend, no? Depende sa usapan na during the hearings. That's why we have hearings, no? So that we can hear everyone. So that is our ruling as chair of this committee. All right. So, Dr. Limpin, is your presentation ready? So we can discuss that.
Thank you, Your Honor. First and foremost, I'd like to thank for this committee, especially Your Honor, in inviting us to this hearing. I am Dr. Maria Encarnita Blanco Limpin, the Executive Director of Action on Smoking and Health Philippines. I am a practicing internist, pulmonologist, and critical care physician. And dahil po dito sa trabaho ko na ito, nakikita ko po kung ano ang nagiging epekto ng paninigarilyo at ng pagve-vape sa ating mga kababayan. I am here not just to represent the healthcare practitioners, but I am also here to represent and give a voice to the thousands of victims of tobacco and vape who have actually died, those who are also still suffering, and those who have also been lured into this lifetime addiction. So, can I have my first slide? Ito pong slide nito ay napakita na po ni Dr. Tony Dance, but just to emphasize kung gaano ka-epektibo po ang taxes na pinapataw po natin sa sigarilyo, nakita ho natin kung ano naging epekto nito sa paggamit ng sigarilyo. We have actually seen a decline in tobacco use from the time 2012, no, from basically 2012 to around 2021. But unfortunately, makikita ho natin sa pinakahuli, medyo tumaas po. And if you will look at it, ang pagbaba po ng prevalence ng paninigarilyo ay dahil po sa dumami yung mga kabataan na hindi nag-umpisa ng paninigarilyo. Medyo dumami din po yung mga nakahinto. But ang pinaka-target ho talaga ng tobacco taxation, makikita ho natin, effective ho talaga sa mga kabataan. And probably doon sa mga mahihirap na nalululong pa dahil sa lulong ho sila sa sigarilyo ay patuloy na nagsisigarilyo despite the fact na yung pera nila supposedly sana mailagay sa mga mas importanteng bagay katulad ng pagkain, yung edukasyon ng kanilang mga anak at pati na rin doon sa pang-araw-araw na kabuhayan nila. Unfortunately, hindi po yun nangyayari. But in 2023, makikita ho natin umakyat uli ang prevalence ng paninigarilyo. Bakit po? Next slide, please. Yes, so dito pinapakita po, unlike what you have actually shown to us, Your Honor, I'm actually using the Global Adult Tobacco Survey as well as the Global Youth Tobacco Survey, which is a survey that has been conducted in collaboration with the Department of Health, with the WHO, as well as the Center for Disease Control. No? And makikita ho natin na ang paggamit ho ng vape ay napakababa kung titignan ho natin sa mga nakakatanda, But doon sa mga bata, edad na 13 to 15 years of age, according to the Global Youth Tobacco Survey in 2021, makikita ho natin na napakataas, 14%. Of course, yung pinakita po ninyo ay isang glaring factor na talagang mabilis na bumubulusok ang paggamit ng vape, lalong-lalong na po sa kabataan. So, there is actually no disagreement sa pinakita po ninyo na slides kanina and this particular slide dahil it only emphasizes the fact that pagdating po sa paggamit ng vape, it is really the younger ones who are using that rather than the older population. Next slide. At makikita po ninyo na 44% ho ng mga naggumagamit ng vape ay hindi kahit kailanman nanigarilyo. And therefore, what I would like to emphasize here, madalas ho ang sinasabi ng mga vaping companies, binibigay daw nila ito as an alternative sa paninigarilyo, but in fact, makikita ho natin 44% hindi ho kahit kailan nagsigarilyo. And therefore, yung sinasabi nilang alternative to smoking is really not true. Next slide. Now, papakita ko po itong isang study na ito. Ito po ay ginawa nila Sam Egger et al. At pinapakita lang ho dito na ang rate ho ng pag-uumpisa ng paninigarilyo ay mas mataas, 5 times higher sa mga hindi, 5 times higher sa mga nag-umpisa ng vape versus those who never use vape. And therefore, ito po pinapakita na it is really yung pag-vape ang nagiging dahilan kung bakit mas marami ang eventually mag-shift sa pagsisigarilyo. So maaaring, next slide please. Therefore, ito pong tignan ho natin uli yung trend na ito, makikita ho ninyo ang association kung bakit umakyat. Because in 2020, it is in 2022, yung vape law ho ay naipasa. And basically, itong vape law na ito, which is supposed to regulate the use of vape, hindi naman ho talaga na-regulate eh. It only liberalizes ang vaping. No? So, kaya nga ho, masamang-masama ang loob namin nang ito pong vape law na ito ay naipasa. Despite the arguments that we have presented, despite all the scientific evidences that we have presented, they continued to actually pass this vape law. Kaya kami po, nila Dr. Tony Dance, nila Tony Leachon, and the rest of our healthcare, sila Dr. Imelda Mateo, lahat ho kami, hindi ho kami masaya nung ipinasa po ang vape law na ito. And this actually led to further increase in smoking prevalence. So, sa amin hong ano mga possible explanation sa pag-increase ng prevalence? It is the number of those who have started to smoke primarily because of the vape liberalization law. That is, next slide. Nauna na ako sa slide ko. Next slide. Okay, then the other factor po, of course, we cannot argue on this. Yun hong marketing tactics ng ating mga vaping companies. No, ito po ay makukuha, ito po ay doon sa website ng RELX, no, makikita ho ninyo kung paano nila talaga iniengganyo na as if talagang this is really a fad among the young, no? Mga bata yung mga nakikita ho natin nagve-vape. Next slide. And tanong ho ninyo, Flavors is one of the main reason kung bakit ang mga kabataan ay gumagamit ng vape. Tignan ho ninyo ang itsura nito. Next slide. And do you think, alam mo ba ninyo kung gaano karami ang flavors that is present worldwide? Yan, makikita ho ninyo, di ba? Sino ho ba talagang naiengganyo sa ganyang klase ng flavor? Wala namang iba kundi kabataan. Di ba? Next. O, di ba, pati may chicken, may waffles, would you believe, may bacon pa, meron pang durian flavor, you know, sila, depende tung sa kung ano ang gusto ng mga tao sa isang lugar. Next slide. Click lang po. So there are more than 15,000 flavors in the Philippines. From what we know, there are already more than 7,000 flavors in the country. Therefore, all of these flavors are really enticing our young to start into the vaping addiction. We are calling it an addiction because almost all these vapes contain nicotine. It will be very seldom na makakakita kayo ng walang nicotine. Even among those na sinasabi nila does not contain nicotine, sa pag-aaral ho in the US, in the UK, and even in Australia, lahat to sila nakita nila sa pag-aaral nila na kahit yung mga nagsasabing walang nicotine, still contains nicotine. And that is the reason why they are so sure of saying na pwedeng gamitin na pang-alternative ang vaping sa sigarilyo. Bakit? Ano ang parehas na component na nakaka-addict sa isang tao? Nicotine. And nicotine is present in both tobacco and vape products. Next slide. Next slide. Pinapakita ko lang ho dito, ano pa po ang nakakaengganyo sa mga kabataan? Next slide. Yes. So, ito po yung mga naunang mods. Makikita ho ninyo, malalaki pa ho ang tangke. Siguro yung mga nauna-una ho sa atin, ito ang mga unang ginamit. Pero makikita na ho ninyo ang mga, ngayon, ang mga bagong mga pods o mga vape products na makikita ho ninyo. And makikita ninyo kung gaano ka-attractive ho ang lahat ng mga yan. Diba? Ang itsura ng nila ay mukhang flavor. Talagang, sino ho ang maiengganyo dito? Ang mga matatanda? Maybe. Kasi lalo na kung kahit ho yung mga matatanda na isip bata na gusto ang mga ganyang klase ng kulay, maiengganyo rin, no? But ang pinakaunang-unang maiengganyo ay ang mga kabataan. Next slide. Next slide. And meron pa ho silang ganito. Would you believe na ito po ay isang klase ng pads? No? And who will ever think na ito ay isang pads? No? So this is definitely Director Valdez of DTI. This is a very good example of, and Your Honor, this is a very good example of maybe one of those pods who have been peddled in the market without being registered. Okay? So, talagang maiengganyo ang mga kabataan. And there is no argument and there should be no surprise kung bakit ang mga kabataan ang talagang nauunang gagamit ng mga produktong ito. Next. So, meron pa silang libreng lanyard sa bawat pagbili nila ng mga pads. Libre ho yan. And therefore, kahit ho yung mga teachers natin sa mga eskwelahan, aakalain ho nila na flash drive lang po ang nakasabit doon sa mga bata. No? Hindi ho ninyo ma-recognize and hindi rin ho natin ma-differentiate ang isang flash drive versus that of pads. Next. Next. Ngayon, ito po yung sa isa na naman po, mahilig ho ako kasi, Your Honor, tingin-tingin sa mga website. Ito po sa website naman ng Philip Morris, no? Philip Morris Fortune Tobacco Corporation. So, baka po para lang po sa kaalaman ng lahat, karamihan ho ng tobacco companies, they are also selling vape products. No? Wag ho ninyong isipin na hindi ho sila involved dito sa mga vape products na ito. They are selling vape products as well. And therefore, that is the reason kung bakit talagang masyadong puspusan ang pagpapa-advertise nila na hindi ho sila, na ngayon ay they are now smoke-free. Kasi ang sinasabi nilang smoke-free, nagbebenta ho sila ngayon ng isang produkto na supposedly walang smoke, pero meron pa rin pong smoke. So, dito po, pinapakita lang ho nila ang difference between a heated tobacco product at ang regular tobacco. Next slide. At sinasabi din ho nila dyan that their product is not risk-free. Okay? At pinapakita pa po yung iba't ibang mga chemical na present ho sa tobacco at sa mga vape products. Okay? And next, makikita ho ninyo, marami ho yung mga, yung mga chemicals na yan. Some of those are cancer-causing agents. Next slide. Dito, pinapakita po, sinasabi ho nila kasi sa lahat ng mga studies, ang chemical concentration daw ng mga na makikita ho ninyo sa mga e-cigarettes are much lower compared to the concentration seen in regular tobacco. However, tignan ho ninyo ang sinasabi din nila. Meron ho silang disclaimers. They're saying a reduction in levels does not necessarily equate to a reduction in risk. Okay? Pero ito ho ba ay talagang matitingnan ng isang taong gumagamit na ng mga e-cigarettes at ng heated tobacco products? Of course, lulong na ho ang mga taong yan sa nicotine and therefore, hindi na ho nila mapapansin kahit ano pa ang nakalagay ho dyan. Next slide. And this is actually just to show to you a study on TSNA. Ang TSNA po ay tobacco-specific nitrosamines. No? Ang ibig lang hong sabihin yan, itong tobacco-specific nitrosamines na yan ay known to be cancer, can cause cancer. And makikita ho ninyo, lahat ho ng mga electronic cigarette devices, mga fluids na pinag-aralan, lahat ho sila, they contain tobacco-specific nitrosamines. Therefore, iba-iba lang po ang ang dami sa lahat sa iba't ibang klase ng e-cigarette liquids na yan. But ang pinaka-importante ho diyan, meron ho siyang mga nagkokos ng cancer. And therefore, whether malaki ang volume amount, maliit ang volume na amount, a person who uses e-cigarettes, a person who uses vape products will be at higher risk to develop cancer. Next slide. At dito po pinapakita din that there are some chemicals that may kahit ho i-try ho i-detect if the DTI is already looking into the chemicals that are present in the e-liquids, you may not be able to detect some of the chemicals. Bakit? Dahil yung mga chemicals na yan ay nagagawa lang po upon interaction of the e-liquid at the moment na i-hit mo ang e-liquid na yon. And therefore, yung interaction po upon heating ng glycerol with the heating element can actually result in the development of acrolein, a known cancer-causing agent. Yung propylene glycol, everybody knows this. These are the most common and the regular component of any e-cigarette. It will lead to the formation of formaldehyde and acetaldehyde, also known carcinogens. Okay? And therefore, what I am actually showing to you now are people are at high risk of developing cancers. Hihintayin pa ho ba natin na talaga magkaroon ng cancer ang mga tao bago ho tayo kumilos? Pero yan na po ang nangyari sa tabako. Pag tiningnan ho natin ang history ng tabako, hinintay pa ho nating milyon-milyon na ang namamatay sa tabako bago tayo merong gawing aksyon. I hope na hindi naman ho umabot doon sa ganoong sitwasyon. Now, we know better. Alam na ho natin at hopefully, sana mas matatalino ho tayo ngayon para meron na ho tayong gawin na aksyon. And nobody among us, kahit ho siguro mga nasa industriya ng sigarilyo at ng vape, gusto ho nila na makakita ng mga tao na namamatay. I hope lahat ho tayo, we will all come out really very strong against the use of vape and tobacco. Next slide. I'm also going to show to you the latest study. Next. This is the latest study na nagpapakita na ang pag-vape, parehas lang ho ng paninigarilyo, can cause damage sa DNA. And that is actually the reason kung bakit nagkakaroon ng cancer. With the exposure to all those cancer-causing agents, nagkakaroon ho ng pagkasira, ng damage sa ating DNA, sa genes po mismo natin. And this is the reason kung bakit magkakaroon ng cancer ang isang tao from smoking. And now we are seeing that that is also true from vaping. Next slide. Dito po sa isang slide nito, pinapakita yun po ang result ng kanilang pag-aaral. At tiningnan ho nila between a pods and a mods. Pinakamataas po ang DNA damage doon sa paggamit ng pods, followed by the use of mods. At pagdating po sa mga flavors, and that is the reason kung bakit I will agree, we should actually ban the flavors instead of what we have now under the vape law. Kasi tignan nyo ninyo, sweet flavored the vapes have the highest levels of DNA damage, followed by mint and menthol, and fruit-flavored vapes. Your Honor, if you are looking into banning flavors, I would recommend na iban na lang ho talaga. If you want to maintain a certain flavor, maybe it is just tobacco. Kasi the menthol and the mint flavor will only increase the risk also of people from developing cancer. So, we have to maintain. Dati, dalawa. Actually, our recommendation is just to limit it to tobacco. Next slide. And of course, alam naman ho natin yung E-Valley. Actually, I've heard Secretary Herbosa said yesterday over the radio interview na kaya siya against sa paggamit ng vape ay dahil nga dito sa mga cause na katulad ng E-Valley o yung e-cigarette vape associated lung injury. Next slide. Na nakita natin sa Amerika. And of course, next, meron din po tayong nakita dito sa ating bansa. This is a 22-year-old male, sudden onset of chest pain, wala pong comorbidities, but yung 2 years history lang po ng paggamit niya ng vape. Ni-work up po siya ng husto. May baraho ang kanyang ang ugat sa puso. Next. And ang chest x-ray po, next. Merong ground glass consolidation na parang pneumonia, but nung ginawan ho ng mga cultures and pneumonia panel, lahat ho ito negative. And that is the reason kung bakit sinabi ho namin that what this patient had is what we call the E-Valley. Because it fulfilled the criteria for E-Valley. May mga narinig ho ako na nagsabing, isa lang daw ho ito sa mga nangyari ho at hindi ho po pwedeng sabihin na that is true for all. Excuse me kung sino man po ang nagsabi nun. Kami po ang nakakakita sa mga pasyente na nagsasuffer because of vaping. Sa ngayon, may mga nakikita na ho kami talagang nahihirapang huminga. Pero kailangan ba nating makakita pa ng higit sa isa na mamatay na magkaroon ng sakit sa puso at magkaroon ng E-Valley dahil sa pagbe-vape? Do we need to really see more and more people dying before we do something? And that is why ngayon pa lang kailangan may gawin na ho tayo. Next. So, ang sinasabi ho ng mga manufacturers, reduced harm with vapes. Definitely, sa mga pag-aaral ho, scientific evidence will show there is increased risk to develop heart and lung diseases. And ngayon ho, we have studies showing the presence of cancer-causing agents in e-cigarettes and heated tobacco products, and therefore increasing the potential risk to develop cancer. For us healthcare workers, we always take the precautionary principle. We take caution until until proven safe only on anything that can cause disease or death. And definitely, now that we are getting more and more evidences, scientific evidence, we cannot and we will never be able to recommend the use of vape for anything. Next. So, sinasabi madalas ng mga manufacturers, vapes are smoke-free products and are less harmful. Next slide. Wala pong katotohanan yan. Titignan ho ninyo lahat po ng mga chemicals. With all these chemicals, do you expect that it will really be less harmful as what they would like us to believe? Next. So the fact is, vaping is not safe. It is equally harmful as smoking. So next, our recommendation, Your Honor. So, of course, I think we will agree with you on the matter that we need to increase tax, particularly on the vape products. For tobacco products, we need to further increase the taxes on the standard tobacco products. At least, I think this is more, doing so will actually be more timely because of the increasing buying capacity of Filipinos. And then for the smoking for the vapes or the electronic smoking devices, a unitary tax, we agree for all. And we would like actually to recommend the imposition of a tax that is equivalent to standard tobacco products. So it is not just unitary, Your Honor, that we are recommending, but a tax that is equivalent to the standard tobacco products. If this cannot be done, actually, Your Honor, we would even recommend banning of all these vape products, because that will be more helpful to the Filipino people. If we are really serious on helping the Filipinos not get sick and die from a sinful product, then I think it is high time for us to start thinking of banning e-cigarettes and any electronic smoking devices. So with that, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Limpin. Call on Dr. Ko of the World Health Organization.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I would like to really appreciate Your Honor, you have fully expressed the concern on the harmful impact of vapes, either illicit they are harmful, and then which was eloquently demonstrated by our healthcare providers and physicians groups. They mentioned what kind of products are being circulated, not only the flavor, but different appearances. As the FNRI data showed, and then we saw that from the presentation, 40% increase in the adolescent group of vaping use. I would say, as public health worker and originally trained as a pediatrician, it's a public health event of national concerns, I would say. In this regard, I agree, the WHO agrees to the overall direction, suggestion, and recommendations from our health advocates. In addition to that, I would also suggest to reconsider the age of the minimal age of sales of this country. So if I would formulate in more structured sentence the WHO position for the vaping, it proposes, the current bill 11360 proposes to unify the excise tax for vapor products. It raises it to a level comparable to that of a pack of cigarettes and establishes clearer guidelines for minimum pricing. WHO views this policy change as a step in the right direction. as it is expected to simplify tax administration and increase the product prices that make the vape product non-affordable. And then our youth group, the vaping, they are very price elastic group. So the additional, as our Department of Health mentioned, tax is only one measure to control cigarette. We should make a comprehensive approach, which includes banning disposable e-cigarettes, which is now encroaching our market, can get much higher content of nicotine in it and with a much cheaper price. And limiting the concentration and quantity of nicotine, along with the strict enforcement of existing measures, such as the ban on flavored products. Current law, it seems to allow the menthol, the base tobacco flavor and menthol flavor. But I would suggest to go even bolder for the complete ban of flavor. And then as our colleague, a health advocate mentioned, even further to the complete ban of e-cigarettes that has been introduced and practiced in certain countries in the world. Over to you, Your Honor.
Thank you for that. We'll call on Dr. Doroteo of the Southeast Asia Tobacco Control Alliance.
Honorable Chair, I'm Anton. I'll be representing Yule for this session. So, with your indulgence, Mr. Chair, we'd like to respond to one of the questions that was raised earlier about why these products are actually more common among children. So, Dr. Tony Dance, Dr. Maricar have already discussed how extensive tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship is, how children are basically inundated with tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship. But I'd like to flag other possible channels that are being leveraged by the industry in order to reach this much younger target market. There's other things, of course, that we should consider, like cross-border advertising. Back then, tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship was just TV, radio, the newspapers. But right now, you have the internet, and along with it are online streaming services. So there are themes in Netflix shows that seem to normalize the act of smoking or the consumption of electronic cigarettes. And there are themes in even your music streaming services that are also related to the use of cigarettes. There's also this whole issue of parallel marketing. So in places that children cannot avoid, for example, barbershops, for example, cafes, places that teenagers will probably frequent, you have in some occasions, you have vape products being peddled in these places as well. There's your last barrier really when a younger individual is trying to purchase this product is really the barrier for price. So while electronic smoking devices, both electronic cigarettes and heated tobacco products, can be very expensive for some specimens of these products, most of the time from the same manufacturer, you also have cheaper versions of the same product. So they have an aspirational product, an aspirational heated tobacco product that is more featured in the advertisements, but they also have a cheaper heated tobacco product, a cheaper electronic cigarette that will always be there, available to younger children. So within the purchasing power of Filipino kids in high school, you can definitely buy certain things like relics or bonds for IQOS. Bonds by IQOS. It's when you take a look at this is why we're very much pleased with the commitment from the Honorable Chair that indexation for electronic smoking devices, for the tax rates, for the specific tax that will be applied for these products will not be touched. Because it matters that we do not just benchmark the increases in the specific tax to the changes that are to the changes brought about by inflation. Of course, there's also the increase in the purchasing power of the Filipino people, and the prices of these products have to keep up with that, in addition to keeping up with inflation. So 5% is actually the bare minimum. If possible, if we're going to be basing it on, if we're applying the same logic with cigarettes back when Republic Act 10351 was being deliberated, they actually needed an indexation of 9% or above in order to ensure that there will be no new smokers, in order to have a continuous reduction in the number of new smokers. So this is we believe that we also want to clarify that in addition to not touching the indexation anymore, taxing electronic smoking devices at parity with conventional tobacco products does not always necessarily mean giving them equal rates, because 65 pesos, let's say, applied to a pack of 20 cigarettes is not the same as 65 pesos applied to a single-use electronic cigarette that is good for 15,000 puffs that 3 kids can share between themselves. So actually, even if you increase the prices for electronic cigarettes, you can do that in such a way that you can create a situation that there's more parity when it comes to the taxation of conventional tobacco and electronic cigarettes. We'd like to emphasize also some important observations that we have in House Bill number 11360 as currently drafted. So one thing that we'd like to point out in the draft bill is that it provides vague language for the determination of the floor price for tobacco and nicotine products. So as it stands, when floor prices for tobacco and other recreational nicotine products are determined by quote-unquote the applicable taxes, reasonable production cost, and trade margins for the lowest price brands registered with the Bureau of Internal Revenue, the industry is given more flexibility to maximize the earning potential of both their low and high price segments of recreational nicotine products. This can reduce the public health impact of excise tax reforms in terms of tobacco product demand and ultimately government revenue. So how does this happen? Okay, so if the floor price determination allows for too much flexibility for the tobacco industry, then the industry can simply reduce the prices for their lower cost products and leverage the bigger elasticity value for these products and increase the demand for these product segments. This would also result in more smoking for the young, the poor, and the elderly who would have otherwise been protected from tobacco consumption by across-the-board increases in tobacco product prices. This would go in hand with the typical industry strategy of overshifting for their most expensive product tiers, which because the effect for the industry would be the same as the effect for the government. If you increase the price in the setting for a product that is relatively inelastic, what tends to happen is that you have a somewhat smaller number of removals, but a larger fraction of the revenue would be captured by the industry as profit. And because unit pack removals are lower, then the government would end up having much smaller revenue. So instead of the permissive guidance from the proposed legislation, we strongly suggest that the BIR revert to price surveys for floor price determinations for recreational nicotine products. We also believe that 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 the price surveys, as in RA 10351, should be more transparent so that it can be audited by civil society and the academe as well. Also, we noticed that in the way that the RA 11360 was constructed, roll your own tobacco seems to be given a specific tax that is practically equivalent to that of cigarettes. Best practice from learnings in Europe, for example, from the experience of the Europeans, is that it's usually better to have a slightly higher specific tax for roll your own tobacco. This is not to contradict the statements of having tobacco products being taxed in a manner that there's similar burden among the products. Actually, with roll your own tobacco, what tends to happen is that you have lower tax burden for roll your own tobacco because you can usually make more cigarettes from the typical amount of tobacco that is being dispensed as a unit in most countries. So this is why in the United Kingdom and in Australia, for example, you see that roll your own tobacco is taxed by weight at a slightly higher rate than conventional cigarettes. Furthermore, we also saw some provisions in RA 11360 that allows for some flexibilities in ways that the revenue from tobacco excise taxes are earmarked, particularly in relation to Republic Act 7171. So while we understand that it's important to do flood control projects and other similar initiatives, the current policy direction, as signaled by RA 10351, is that these tax policies should ideally fund universal health coverage, health promotion. It should fund the transitioning of farmers to alternative livelihood programs that would hopefully result in economically viable alternatives. And it should also fund other worthy initiatives such as education. Increasing the flexibility for the number of initiatives that could be funded by RA 7171 could slightly water down the intent of RA 10351. So we hope that these comments are considered, Honorable Chair. So we will be submitting a position paper with all of these points considered. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We'll call on Health Justice Philippines, Attorney Laperal.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. We join our partners in civil society in urging the Senate to reject House Bill 11360. But first, we are grateful for the commitments made by the Honorable Chair today. And we also support the move to impose a flat tax on all vapor products, regardless of nicotine content. We recognize this as a step forward, but as earlier recommended by Dr. Limpin, it should go hand in hand with harmonizing tax rates across all tobacco products. All of these products are harmful and should be taxed accordingly. The principle is that to be effective, tobacco tax systems and administration must be efficient, predictable, and easy to enforce. And also following this principle, we do express our objection against the alternating tax rates, which is also present in the vape provisions of the bill. Far from promoting efficiency, the proposed alternating tax increases complicate what is straightforward fiscal policy, and it increases the likelihood for misreporting, under-declaration, or compliance delays. We reiterate that retaining a uniform annual rate or inflation index mechanism would reduce administrative burden and safeguard against any manipulations. Your Honor, we also want to caution against this po because we saw in the proposal that there is a delegation to the President of the power to raise excise taxes. The Constitution allows such delegation only for tariffs and duties, not for internal revenue taxes. Taxation is a core legislative power and it must remain where the Constitution places it, in the hands of Congress. And this is a clear violation of legislative authority and a dangerous precedent for public finance. We also wanted to point out some red flags in the bill's provisions concerning vapes. First, with respect to linking tobacco tax hikes to economic triggers like deficit levels rather than public health goals. This is an alarming shift and opens the door for industry interference. Public health taxes should not be subject to macroeconomic factors, but rather should be grounded on science and serve the clear purpose of reducing tobacco harm. Next, using smoking prevalence as a trigger for tax policy reviews also deeply problematic. This opens the door for industry arguments that taxes aren't working, and so instead of recognizing sustained higher taxes as essential for reducing tobacco use, we believe that any review mechanism must be clearly anchored on strengthening tobacco taxation as a health measure. We also find the transparency and accountability mechanisms in setting floor prices lacking. We need a robust process that includes consultations, especially with public health experts, and possibly an independent oversight to prevent gaming and to ensure that floor prices serve their purpose to deter, not encourage consumption. There should also be more stringent floor or stock inventory taxes and serious penalties to be put in place to prevent manufacturers from flooding the market before tax hikes, because these are predictable under the conditions that might be placed under this law. We have to make sure that we do not undermine the health and revenue goals of this tax measure. Finally, Mr. Chair, as mentioned by Dr. Anton, we do notice the proposed revenue allocation in the bill, and it reduces the funding. We are afraid that it reduces the funding for universal healthcare and redirects it to sectors less directly linked to health outcomes. This counters the policy adopted in our existing laws and dilutes the polluter pays principle at the heart of sin taxes. That is that revenues from these harmful products must prioritize the health systems burdened by their impact. Worst, it creates discretion-based transfers that are vulnerable to political interests. Again, Mr. Chair, we join our civil society partners in urging the Senate to reject House Bill number 11360, to stand firm against industry interference and to uphold the mandate to protect public health. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair, for standing for health for the Filipinos and especially our children.
Thank you, Attorney Laperal. We call on Ms. Riza Duro of Social Watch Philippines. Ano ba siya?
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat, Mr. Chair. Bago po ako magpatuloy sa aking pahayag, salamat po ulit sa paninindigang ang pagbaba ng taxes ay hindi po solusyon sa problema natin sa illicit trade. Bagkus, nakikisa rin po kami na dapat palakasin pa ang mga enforcement agencies laban sa lumalaganap na smuggled paper products. With that po, papatuloy po ulit ako sa aking pahayag. Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Maikling pakilala po, ang Philippine Smoke-Free Movement ay isang pambansang koalisyon na binubuo ng mahigit 100 organisasyong sama-samang nagsusulong na isang smoke-free at vape-free na Pilipinas. Isang bansa kung saan ang bawat mamamayan, lalo na ang kabataan, ay ligtas mula sa panganib ng paninagarilyo at paggamit ng vape. Isang karangalan po para sa amin na makiisa sa mahalagang laban na ito at pagbigay suporta sa ating patuloy na advokasya kontra sa lumalalang problema ng paninagarilyo at vaping sa bansa. Ako po ay narito ngayon, Mr. Chair, upang basahin ang pahayag ng isa naming kabataang leader, isang tinig ng pag-asa, isang tagapagtanggol ng mas malusog na pamayanan at isa ring biktima ng second-hand smoke. Ang kanyang kwento ay paalala sa ating lahat kung bakit kailangang ipaglaban ang bawat hakbang tungo sa proteksyon ng ating kalusugan at ang susunod na henerasyon. Narito po ang kanyang pahayag at panawagan. Ako po si Shaina Fernandez, isang kabataang leader mula sa Valenzuela City, miyembro ng Philippine Smoke-Free Movement Youth at isang biktima ng second-hand smoke. Bata pa lamang ako nang magkasakit dahil sa paninigarilyo ng mga taong nasa paligid ko. Paulit-ulit akong dinala sa ospital, hindi dahil sa sarili kong bisyo, kundi dahil sa usok na sapilitang pinasingkot sa akin ng iba. At ngayon, muling nakataya ang kalusugan ng libo-libong kabataan tulad ko dahil sa House Bill 11360 o Syntax Sabotage Bill. Kaya't buong lakas kaming nananawagan kay Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. Magpahayag po kayo ng malinaw, matapang at matibay na paninindigan laban sa anumang probesyon ng HB 11360. Mr. Chair, kayo po mismo ay dating alkalde ng Valenzuela City, isang lungsod na kinilala ng Department of Health noong 2021 bilang modelo sa mahigpit at makataong patakaran laban sa paninigarilyo. Kayo rin po ay kasama naming tumindig at nagsulong ng mas mataas na buwis sa sigarilyo noong 2018 at 2019. Ngayon sinusubok ang katapatan sa prinsipyong ito. Ang lungsod na minsang naging kawaran sa pagprotekta sa kabataan ay nakatingin ngayon sa dating pinuno nito. Naghihintay, umaasa, nananawagan. Patunayan po ninyo na hindi po kayo nagpapagamit sa interes ng industriya ng tabako. Patunayan ninyo na hindi kailanman magiging pangalawa sa interes ang kalusugan ng kabataan. Ayon sa datos ng Global Youth Tobacco Survey, mula 12% noong 2009 ay bumaba sa 10% ang kabataang naninigarilyo noong 2019. Patunay ito, ang mataas sa buwis ay mabisang sandata laban sa adiksyon ng kabataan. Ang pagpapababa ng buwis ay hindi lamang simpleng desisyon pang-ekonomiya. Isa itong pagtalikod sa mga tagumpay na pinaghirapan nating makamit. Kapag pinayagan natin ang panukalang ito, para na rin nating ipinahayag na mas mahalaga ang interes ng industriya kaysa sa hininga ng isang bata. Ang paninigarilyo at paggamit ng vape ay patuloy na banta sa kinabukasan ng kabataan. At ang sino mang nagpapahina sa mga patakalang pumipigil dito ay lumilihis sa tungkulin niyang ipagtanggol ang susunod na henerasyon. Hindi po kami mananahimik. Hindi namin tatanggapin na isakripisyo ang aming kalusugan at kinabukasan kapalit ng tubo ng mga kumpanyang responsable sa sakit, adeksyon at kamatayan. Kami po ay patuloy na lalaban, patuloy na manindigan at sa bawat tangkang ipasok ang ganitong uri ng panukala sa alinmang sangay ng pamahalaan, kami tatayo at tututol. Senator Gatchalian, salamat po sa pagsama. Salamat sa pagtindig na hindi natin pababain ang taxes. Bagkus, palalakasin pa natin ang mga enforcement agencies laban sa illicit trade ng vape products. Buo po ang suporta namin sa iyo, Senator Gatchalian. Ipaglaban natin ang kalusugan ng kabataan. Panindigan natin ang pangakong iniwan ninyo sa Valenzuela, na sa lungsod at sa buong bayan, ang kabataan ay hindi kailanman pababayaan. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Maraming salamat rin. We call on EER, Action for Economic Reforms, represented by Adolfo Jose Montesa.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of this committee. With your kind indulgence, we'd like to read a prepared statement supported by just a few slides. I won't take more than a few minutes of your time. So as we put the slides on the screen, let me begin first by thanking you, Honorable Senator Gatchalian, for your principled stance on this matter. We are very heartened to hear, number one, your position rejecting the rollback of the annual indexation on tobacco taxes. Number two, your recognition that illicit trade is an enforcement issue and not a justification for lowering taxes. And number three, your support for increasing taxes on vapor products, which we agree with. These positions are evidence-based, pro-health, and fiscally sound, and we deeply appreciate your leadership on these issues. We know that in Congress, sometimes sound science and strong policy do not always prevail. But today, your voice affirms that the Senate committee continues to stand for public interest over industry profit. So we still welcome the opportunity to briefly present the key findings that support your position. If you go to the first slide, please. Both to reinforce the facts and to put on record why several provisions of House Bill 11360 are harmful and must be rejected. On the first slide, we want to make sure that there is no ambiguity. The proposals in 11360 are a tax cut on cigarettes and other tobacco products. If it were to be implemented by 2035, the bill would make cigarettes at least 19 pesos cheaper per pack. That's not even considering VAT and profit margins. 19 pesos cheaper per pack compared to the current law. On the next slide, we want to point out that removing the automatic indexation or lowering the automatic indexation is not a neutral adjustment. Rather, it is a tax cut in real terms. That's an economic concept. When tax rates don't keep up with inflation and income growth, then the real value shrinks, which both weakens the price signal for smokers, or the incentive impact, and as well as reducing government revenue. So you'll see that on the slide, that in years when we didn't have indexation, tax collections as a percent of GDP fell in those years, even if nominal taxes increased. In fact, and this was pointed out by several members of this committee, if we are serious about maintaining or even strengthening the public health impact of sin taxes, we respectfully urge the committee to consider, in fact, increasing the indexation tax rate of the tax rate to 10% annually. This accounts not just for inflation, but also rising incomes and purchasing power, and helps to sustain the deterrent effect of higher prices. Next slide, please. Third, we strongly agree and echo your view that illicit trade is a problem of weak enforcement, not of high tax rates. There is no credible evidence, whether from multilateral institutions like the World Bank or the WHO, even from local academic institutions, there is no evidence that tax hikes drive illicit trade. In fact, the real solutions from the evidence suppose that improving enforcement and implementing track and trace systems are the best solutions to curbing illicit trade. In the next slide, we also wanted to show you and point out that the rolling back of indexation would not just be a fiscal issue, but a public health threat as well. Based on our simulation using the TETSIM model, House Bill 11360 would have resulted in an estimated 1.86 million new smokers, or almost 2 million new smokers by 2035, and an increase of over 500 million cigarette packs consumed. As Dr. Tony Dance mentioned, that contributes to an annual economic burden of 750 billion pesos per year. On the fiscal side, next slide please, the rollback would have resulted in 107